How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we got a story time of a spoiled kid who destroys the entire zoo. So the spoiled kid thought that he was an actual genius and an expert at the zoo and that he knew a lot more than the zookeeper, and let's just say that that is not how it went down. So yeah, leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing. Subscribe with notifications if you are new, and with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Kevin. Anyways, so Kevin and his class were going on a school trip to the zoo. This was a trip that the 7th grade always went every single year, so Kevin and his friends were pretty excited. Kevin always did like the zoo, and he would go with his parents, and he just was pretty excited to go with the boys, right? So they're riding over, and as they're riding over, Kevin's sitting with his friend, we'll call him Ben, and the teacher's going around saying, all right, class, we're making it pretty close to the zoo, so I just want to go over a few things. First of all, make sure to stick with your buddy. Second of all, remember, we have a lunch break at 12, so you'll have to, just make sure that you're there for that. And also, finally, do whatever the zookeeper / tour guide tells us to do. We are guests in their house, and they definitely know better than us. So if they tell you to do something, you just got to do it. I really don't care if it doesn't make sense. You just got to do it. A little bit of foreshadowing for later on. But anyways, all these rules made a lot of sense to Kevin, so he was like, yeah, of course. And eventually, they pulled up to the zoo. They all got out in kind of a single-file line, and the tour guide was waiting for them at the entrance. Anyway, so Kevin and all of his classmates are led over by his teacher. The tour guide's like, hey, guys, welcome to the so-and-so area zoo. I'm so excited for you guys to be here. My name is Tour Guide Will. My name is Tour Guide Will. You can call me that. And before I let you guys go off into the zoo area, we got to have a little bit of a safety demonstration beforehand. I promise you it's going to be nice and quick. So just come on into the visitor center. We'll step over to the side and we'll go over it quickly. So anyways, right at this point, Kevin's pretty excited, and he just kind of goes on in with the rest of the class because he knows after this kind of safety demonstration, he's going to be able to go around the zoo and meet all the cool animals. Kevin, though, overhears this kid, who we're going to call the spoiled kid, be he's talking to this other kid and be like, well, actually, I am an expert in zoo and everything zoology. One might say that I'm actually an expert in this field, which, bro, you're literally in 7th grade. You're an expert in nothing besides maybe Fortnite and, fumbling girls. I don't know, bro. That's at least what I was in 7th grade. I mean, you guys probably know my stories of me in 7th grade committing the most heinous acts of the most heinous acts of simp ever, and just the most fumbling of all time. But that's not today's story. That'll be either a special anniversary story or when I hit 1 million subs or something, I'll do a compilation of all my worst moments personally. Anyways, though, yeah, bro, you're not an expert at zoology. Let's be real here. Anyways, right, so they all walk into the auditorium type place, or the kind of the visitor center type place. And so they walk in there, and so the tour guide's like, all right, guys, gather around. We just have to go over something really quick, just the rules you have to follow when you're in the zoo, and then I'm going to let you guys free. Your instructor reminded me to tell you that you all got to be back here at 12. There are big clocks all around the zoo, and you can always ask any ranger or any zoo worker for the time. Just got to make sure you're back here in this visitor center by 12 for your lunch. There's also maps that are kind of placed all around, and it'll tell you where you are, and you probably won't be getting lost around here. It's not too big of a zoo as well. Anyways, let's just jump into a few of the safety features. So anyways, right, this is not the first time that Kevin has heard all of these safety instructions before, so he's kind of tuning out a little bit. So he's kind of going through the rules of the park or whatever. So you can't leave the park until everyone does. So you can't leave the exit. Well, and that might just be a school rule. I don't think it's a normal rule. I think you're allowed to leave the park whenever you want if you're a fully functioning adult. However, since they're with the school, the tour guide Will decided to say that. But this is where things got interesting. So tour guide Will is like, all right, guys, so you also might have brought snacks with you. You can also buy snacks here. But a really, really important rule is you guys cannot be feeding the animals. You guys cannot be feeding the animals at this park. You can't be taunting them with the food. You can't be throwing the food in there. You can't not be handing them the food. You can't do any of that under any circumstances. The only people who are allowed to feed the animals are the park staff here. Is that understood, everyone? Let me hear a I understand, Park Ranger Will. And you hear this kind of mumbling of, I understand, Park Ranger, like all the kids saying it at once, right? But one kid did not say anything. One kid, instead of responding, crossed his arms. And that was the spoiled kid, who is apparently a zoologist. He was an expert in zoo studies. He actually is more knowledgeable than the park ranger, and anyone else on the planet has not even a speck of knowledge compared to his vast quantity of information stored in his cranium about zoo and zoology. Yeah, so anyways, right, the park ranger Will was about to go on to the next thing he was going to say, whatever that was. Maybe there's just another rule or something, but more maybe he was just about to let them go. But that's when the spoiled kid raises his hand, and the park ranger, not really expecting any questions because it's been pretty straightforward so far, but is always open to questions, is like, yeah, a little guy in the back, what's up? And it was the spoiled kid, and the spoiled kid says, well, actually, what happens if I want to feed the animals? And the park ranger's, he's not stunned. Like, he's too stunned to speak. No, he's just like, didn't respond right away because, I don't know. It's just kind of like, if your question is, someone says you can't do something, and then you say, well, but what if I want to? Well, bro, you probably were gonna, like, probably the reason you feed the animals in the first place is because you want to feed the animals. It's not like one of the lions has, like, a gun to your head, and that's why you're feeding the animals. Like, bro, you're clearly feeding the animals because you want to. So, yeah, of course, dude. Like, yeah, I get, like, of course that's why you want to do it. So that really wouldn't change anything, man. Oh, like, you can't rob the store. But, officer, I really want to. Oh, well, then go ahead. You should have just said that. Like, bro, obviously that's not going to get you out of it. And what planet, like, literally what planet does that make any sense at all? Anyways, though, so yeah, sure enough, the subscriber kind of just is like, bro, what? And some of the other kids are, like, not paying attention, but the kids that are paying attention are kind of like, I don't know, I think they're laughing a little bit because it's, like, kind of a funny response, even though they didn't realize the spoiled kid was completely serious in his response. So, yeah, sure enough, right, the subscribers kind of watches as the park ranger Will is like, oh, well, buddy, I'm sorry, but that doesn't really change the situation here. You see, no one, whether they want to or don't want to, can feed the animals. The only people who can feed the animals at this park are the rangers or anyone or any of the employees here who've been trained properly. And the spoiled kid's like, well, actually, I'd like you to know that I am really knowledgeable in zoo studies, and I believe that I am allowed to feed the animals because of my vast quantity of knowledge. I understand, Mr. Ranger, Will, or whatever, if you don't want to let all the other plebeians, all the other serfs around me, the lessers who do not have the vast quantity of zoo knowledge as I do, if you don't want to let them feed it, I can understand because they might, like, feed the lions wrong, but you gotta understand that I know a thing or two about a thing or two, so I think it's okay if I feed the animals. And at this point, the subscriber's, like, literally shaking his head. He's like, bro, what? Yeah, so at this point, the park ranger is kind of just confused of how to go on from here. The park ranger's like, that's really cool that you know a lot about the animals. And, you know, I'm sure me or any of the other staff, faculty here would be really happy to talk to you about the animals if you want to. And there's so many animals here, and some you can even interact with. Like, there's a petting zoo type area. But it really doesn't matter how much you know about the animals, man. You really can't be feeding them. And the spoiled kid is like, well, no. What I'm trying to get across to you is that I actually know a lot about the animals, and that is why I should probably be allowed to pet them when I want to. And the zookeeper's like, sorry, man. This is kind of my final response. You're not allowed to pet. You're not allowed to feed the animals. The spoiled kid is like, oh, okay, Mr. Zookeeper, or whatever. So yeah, by that response, you can probably tell that the spoiled kid is not gonna be the best listener in this situation, if you know what I mean. Like, he's definitely not gonna be, like, the number one most attentive rule follower on planet Earth. But anyways, right at this point, the subscriber Kevin is kind of just like, okay, can we get along with this? Can we get a move on? Like, the spoiled kid is really wasting my zoo time right now because he thinks that he is some genius zoologist and therefore he should be allowed to to feed the animals. Like, bro, that literally makes no sense and you know it. Anyways, though, eventually the zookeeper goes over one or two more things and it's like, all right, guys, well, with that all being said, make sure to follow the rules, and that's all I got to say. So go on out. So everyone goes on out, and you were instructed to kind of stick with your buddy because they had like the buddy system or whatever, which, dude, the buddy system is low-key flawed. Like, if both people, like you and your buddy don't show up, well, bro, like, which buddy is going to say my buddy isn't here if you're both not there, man? Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so anyways, right, sure enough, the subscriber, Kevin, he was going around, and he was just kind of like going around with his buddy Ben, and they were just seeing all the animals. It was a pretty good time. I mean, Kevin really does enjoy the zoo. He goes there with his family on his own liking, so this was a pretty cool day for him. Unfortunately, yeah, the spoiled kid at some point in the story will end up ruining it, not just for Kevin, not just for Kevin's class, but for everyone at the zoo that day. But you guys will just have to stick around to see how that happens. Anyways, though, so Kevin and his friends are going around to all these different exhibits, and that's when eventually they bump into the spoiled kid, and the spoiled kid is all alone. So the spoiled kid did have a partner, but as you guys can probably already guess, the spoiled kid almost immediately abandoned his partner because, his partner couldn't keep up with his sophisticated zoo IQ. His zoo intelligence quotient, it's off the charts. Doctor, it's off the charts. I didn't think this could be possible. I didn't think this could be real. Yeah, so the spoiled kid kind of just wandering around by himself, which he's already going to get in trouble for that, but he might be getting in trouble for a lot more. You'll just have to stick around and see for that. So anyways, right, sure enough, the subscriber, Kevin. Will is the name of the guy. I forgot his name. Anyway, so yeah, so Will sees this and he kind of looks over at Ben. He's like, yo, dude, we got to go the other way. Because they're just not trying to get involved in the spoiled kid shenanigans. Like, he can do what he wants on his own accord. He can waste his own time. He can be like an idiot by himself. But bro, it would be a crazy statement to say like, for us to get involved in your buffoonery too. Like, it would just be a ridiculous thing for Kevin to waste his precious zoo time because he loves the zoo and he never really gets to go. I mean, he gets to go sometimes, but like once or twice a year max. So he's not going to the zoo every weekend, you know. He's not wasting his precious zoo time entertaining the fantasies and buffoonery of freaking the spoiled kid, bro. Like, it just is simply not happening. So anyways, Kevin motions to Ben for them to go the other way, and unfortunately, they're too late. The spoiled kid is like, Kevin, I challenge you to a duel. And Kevin, like, turns around and is like, what? Like, you challenge me to a duel? Like, bro, literally, what are you even saying right now? And the spoiled kid's like, I challenge you to a duel in zoo intelligence. And, here's the thing. Kevin kind of does know a thing or two about, like, zoo animals, but he's not, like, he doesn't, like, study it. It's not like Kevin goes home every night, opens up his zoology textbook, and just absorbs all the information, literally putting the zoology textbook under his pillow so that he can absorb the information better. Like, dude just casually knows a thing or two, and he just likes hanging out with the animals. Like, he really is just mostly an outdoor kid, and that's why he likes the zoo. Anyway, so Kevin kind of realizes he's not going to get out of this, so he's like, sure, we can do one question. The spoiled kid's like, okay, tell me, is it true that a tiger is a species of fish? So obviously Kevin's like, no. The spoiled kid starts laughing. He's like, you simpleton, you fool. A tiger actually is a species of fish. And the subscriber, Kevin's just like, bro, what? Like, what are you saying right now? Like, very clearly, a tiger is not a species of fish. Like, I honestly don't know in what world you came to that conclusion, bro. Like, genuinely, I'm so confused right now. So this spoiled kid goes on to say, yes, in my vast studies and research, it is actually a fact that only true zoologists, only 0.01% of zoo scientists really understand the truth. And that is, tigers are actually a species of fish because of the fish tiger principle. Yeah, that's it. That's why. So yeah, you lost the duel, buddy. Sorry. You're just kind of a low IQ individual. So at this point, Kevin's just like, okay. And Kevin's actually really happy right now because he thinks that this means that he actually can go away and that the spoiled kid can leave him alone and Kevin can go back to enjoying the zoo. But no, the spoiled kid's like, Kevin, where are you going, bro? Come on now. Kevin's like, dude. Kevin's like, hey, man, maybe you should go find your partner. Like, I'm pretty sure Miss Davenport's going to be really upset if you go back in like an hour and, you know, you're not with your partner because we all got to be buddied up with the buddy system. He's like, the buddy system is for low IQ individuals like Miss Davenport and yourself. I am a free thinker, zoologist, PhD, 1000 IQ, top 1% intelligence individual. That is me. I don't know about you, buddy, but I know about me. So, yeah, Kevin's like, I wonder why no one likes this kid. Such a mystery, man. Such a mystery. Anyways, right, so at this point, Kevin and Ben are trying to make an escape, and that's when the spoiled kid is like, Kevin, you want to see something cool? Since I am such an expert zoologist, I will show you what it is like to feed the tigers. At this point, Kevin's like, yo, wait, what? Whoa, dude, what? Yeah, so anyways, the spoiled kid goes on to say, yes, so I've been training and studying the ways of the animals for so long that unlike the zookeeper, who is actually, I hate to break this to you guys, also a low IQ individual, actually, I am well-trained, well-versed, and honestly I think I'm just best fit for feeding the tigers. So they were near like the tiger exhibit. And so anyways, the spoiled kid reaches into his backpack and pulls out like a granola bar. And so at this point, Kevin's like, dude, that was like the one rule. Like the one rule that these zoo people actually cared about was that we don't feed the tigers. Like, bro, if you get caught feeding the tigers, like we might all get sent home. That's how serious they sounded about it. And the spoiled kid's like, dude, you don't understand. They don't want you guys to feed the tigers. They don't care if I do. He just couldn't say that in front of all you guys because you'd be like mad jealous and stuff. And the subscriber, like Kevin, is like, dude, no, dude, you're not some genius zoologist. Tigers literally aren't fish. I don't know how to say that to you. Like, is this not true? And also, the rules for not feeding the tigers is probably not because you're not expertly trained enough to. It's probably because they can't just have random people for like liability risk. And probably tigers' diets aren't made up of like crappy granola bars, bro. I don't know how else to say it. At this point, the spoiled kid's like, whoa, I feel a little hostility coming over from this side of the room. Like, I get it. Like, I would be kind of mad too if I just wasn't super well versed when it came to, all things animals and was kind of an idiot thinking the tigers aren't actually fish. If I was like that, I'd be pretty mad too. In fact, I would just stay in bed all day and sleep all night. So yeah, I'd be jealous too, man. I get it. So at this point, right, Kevin was starting to realize that this kid was actually being serious about feeding the lion his like crusty old granola bar. So Kevin's like, dude, come on, you don't actually do that. And the spoiled kid at this point is like, Kevin, it is so clear to me how jealous you are just because I am an expert at zoology and you are, well, how do I say this? Not an expert. And Kevin's like, no, dude, come on. You impress me so much. It would impress me so much if you didn't feed the lion, if you were restrained on your abilities because you're just so humble. Yeah, as you can see, Kevin is struggling to figure out a good excuse because the normal excuse of, dude, just don't do it is not going to work for this kid. So Kevin's like struggling to figure out what he can say to get this kid to stop. He's like, dude, come on, please, dude, relax. And at this point, Kevin just realizes, wait a minute, like he probably can't even get into the lion's cage. Like, we're definitely good. So Kevin's like, "Oh, bro, like, well, how are you even gonna feed the lion? Because this was like glass. This was not bars. If it was bars, like a barred like cage or whatever, you could definitely slip a granola bar through the bars. I think for some like creatures that would be okay, but definitely for like lions, bro, you're not gonna have just little measly bars where you could like a little kid could slip his hand in, then it can be a num num munchy yum time snack for the lions. You know what I mean?" So yeah, they had kind of like a glass container, but there was a door because you did have. It's like you had to go. Someone had to go in eventually, right? So this is where things. It was situationally pretty bad, and I'm pretty sure someone got fired because of this. But there was a zookeeper key card lying on the table. I cannot be kidding you, bro. It was lying on the table. And Kevin looks over to the table and he notices it. He makes eye contact. He's like, he kind of just freezes for a second. And that's when the spoiled kid looks at what Kevin's looking at. He's like, "Oh, well, you don't think I can get in there, Kevin? Well, then why look at my luck? There's a key card right on the table." And Kevin's like, "Dude, no. Dude, come on. Like, dude, don't do this. Like, you know this is bad." And he's like, "Kevin, I don't think this is as bad as I think. I think you're just a little jealous boy. Now watch me as I perform my 10,000 IQ zoology feeding technique. It's actually really, really impressive." So at this point, Kevin turns to his friend Ben. He's like, "Yo, we got to get out of here." One, because like, hey, bro, if you go into the cage, who even knows? But also just like guilt by association. He's like, I got to go. And the spoiled kid's like, "Wait, no." So the spoiled kid really quickly rushes over and hits the key card on the gate, and it like clicks green, meaning that the door unlocks and he can enter. So at this point, Kevin is just like, "Go." So he starts running. He starts sprinting. He's like, "You know what? I hate to be a snitch, but I got to be a snitch." So Kevin and his friend Ben, they run over, and that's when they try and find a zookeeper or whatever. So they find a zookeeper, not the zookeeper Will, but just like a random one. And he's like, "Someone left like someone left a key card and the lion cage." And the zookeeper's like, "Yo, boys, relax, relax. What's going on?" And as he says, "Relax, what's going on?" you hear, "Meep. Meep, meep. Attention, attention, everyone. We insist that you calmly and orderly go to the nearest exit." Meep, meep, meep. So as that's going on, the zookeeper like gets like a not a notification, but like a noise that like someone's trying to talk in the walkie-talkie, right? So he picks it up, he's talking, and the subscriber watches as like the zookeeper's face just like goes pale, bro. The zookeeper's face just goes pale. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, I want you to comment zoo down below if you're on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, left a like with notifications on. And also, if you're listening to this on Spotify, I also post on YouTube. It's actually my main place. But if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you rated the podcast 5 stars, follow the podcast with notifications on. And also, there's probably a poll question somewhere. Please answer that. And if you're on YouTube, I'm on Spotify and vice versa. Anyways. So yeah, sure enough, the guy picks up the walkie-talkie and his face is like drops. And he looks at the kids, he's like, "Kids, go to the exit right now." Like he was being so serious. So at this point, the subscriber, Kevin, is like kind of freaking out because all he knows is he left Kevin after he opened up the thing and the lion's nest or whatever. And then all of a sudden, after he ran away for like a minute and found a zookeeper, this like really ominous alarm, which is still going off. It's still meh, meh, meh. Like it's still going off right now. It's like, "Attention, please. May I have your attention, please? We ask you calmly and orderly, make your way to the nearest exit," whatever, right? That's been going on in the background this whole time. So anyways, they all go to they run to like the kind of like the community center or whatever. And they notice that like, there are two kind of like armed zookeeper, like at the door. So they get to the door, which is like shut, and they're like, "Boys, come in, come in." So they open the door and they shut it and basically lock it behind them. So the teacher's in the community center, like frantically like looking for people. And she's like, "Kevin, Ben, oh my God, okay. All right, you're all now accounted for." So when Kevin hears this, "You're all now accounted for," that means that, how do I put this, bro? That means sorry, I just got a notification from PewDiePie with him and his kid. Dude, that's so wholesome. That's so cute. I was a big PewDiePie fan back in the day. Sorry, distracted. Anyways, that means that the spoiled kid is in the room as well. Yeah, so anyways, right, Kevin and Ben, they walk up to see the spoiled kid. The spoiled kid is just standing there, dead silent. He's no longer parading around bragging about how he has the highest zoo IQ ever, and that everyone else is just a little pleb. They don't understand anything because his zoo IQ is actually off the charts. And you guys simply wouldn't. There's no more of that, bro. There's literally no more of that. He's just dead silent, looking like he saw a ghost. So Kevin's like, dude, what happened? And yeah, the spoiled kid is completely mute. He's not saying anything. And at this point, they kind of realize that, well, probably something bad went down. Like, I think it's just a pretty fair assumption to think that just something not good, that there's probably a at a minimum, it's fair to assume that there's probably a connection between the spoiled kid entering the lion's cage and then also the alarm sounding 1 minute later, basically telling everyone in the zoo they needed to evacuate immediately. Like, odds are there's probably a connection there, you know what I mean? So yeah, sure enough, right, the subscriber realizes that they're not going to get any more information out of the spoiled kid at this point. So they're like, okay, screw it, whatever. And so the subscriber goes over to Ben, and they both walk over to the teacher, who's frantically looking around. Not frantically looking around because all the kids are now accounted for, but frantically like on the phone, talking with their supervisor. And so so basically Kevin and his friends start walking around, and everyone's talking, everyone's chatting. You see the doors open up, and like random visitors of the zoo are like ushered in or whatever. And so they're trying to figure it out. And so the subscriber, Kevin, they go up to one group of kids, and one group of kids is like, I overheard what they're saying on the walkie-talkie. Apparently, like, the lion in the zoo got out somehow. And that's Kevin just looks over at Ben and is just looking at Ben with ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way. Yeah, so sure enough, right, the subscriber at this point, they put two and two together. Him and Ben are like, wait, there's actually no way that the spoiled kid caused all of this. Anyways, though, so the teacher is like, gets out the phone and says, everyone, class, circle up now. Very on edge, very kind of tweaking out, which I think if I was a teacher in this situation and I was being informed that the zoo that I went on and basically the class trip that I'm responsible for, there was like a roaming around lion, like not her fault, but it's her responsibility now. So I would be pretty on edge as well. Anyway, she's like, we need to like find your buddy right now, and we're getting back on the bus. And so, yeah, basically, I think the teacher was partly on the phone to call the bus company to try and get them back as soon as possible, because the bus company was not scheduled for them to pick them up for like many, many more hours at this point. So anyways, they all go outside, and they're all waiting for a little bit because, the bus isn't just sitting there waiting for them to be their personal chauffeur service. Like, they have other stops they got to make. But thankfully, the bus service was able to pull something together last minute. However, they had to wait out there for a second. So once again, Kevin and Ben, they go up to the spoiled kid, who is still completely dead silent. It's like, bro, are you sure you had nothing to do with this? Because they knew at this point that he did. But once again, he just doesn't say a word. He's dead silent. He's not cracking under any circumstances. So anyways, they eventually get on the bus, and it's just the craziest bus ride back. Everyone is talking because the rumor, which happens to be true, about the lion getting out is spreading everywhere. People are asking, like, who did it, whatever. And you know who's not talking? The one with the 1,000 zoo IQ, which would, in most situations, be able to completely explain everything with his vast zoo intelligence. Okay, well, that's not happening right now because, well, let's just say the bro was actually responsible for all this going down. Anyway, so they get back to school, and they didn't really have anything planned because they weren't planned to be back at school. So it was like supervised recess for hours, which Kevin and his friend actually kind of thought was pretty chill. They did kind of enjoy that. Yeah, so anyways, eventually the parents came and pick up. There was a email that went out later that night that basically explained the situation, and all the parents were upset or whatever. But here's the thing, the zoo, the zoo is like held under camera. So for a while, the spoiled kid got away with it. But eventually, like, this actually happened in class. So it wasn't in the class the subscriber was in, but one of the subscriber's friends had a class with the spoiled kid. And like a few days afterwards, because the spoiled kid was like very acting super weird for days, obviously, because he was like freaking out about the whole thing. So the zoo, kind of like the zoo, had surveillance footage and sent it to the school to see if they could identify the student. And the principal could. And they basically saw him unlocking, well, there's no none of the students and the subscriber doesn't know exactly what the footage was, but they could assume that it was footage of him going in, unlocking the lion's cage, running away, and then the lion walking out free. So, yeah, anyways, the spoiled kid ended up suspended for a week. I think he had to do, like, community service with the zoo or something to help make up for all the problems he caused or something like that. But believe it or not, the spoiled kid in this situation didn't get suspended, so low-key, he got off free.